So I went and I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's still relatively new in cinema, only been out a few days. So I'm going to go through my top 10 takeaways from this movie. Warning, there will be some spoilers going ahead. But I will try my best not to completely ruin it, but there will be some spoilers going ahead. So without further ado, let's get into this. Starting off at number 1. There is no identity politics crammed into this show. That's the first thing out the door, I must say. There is no identity politics crammed in here. The movie goes along without any of that needed to be shoved in. They didn't need to they don't need to try and show this one is so queer and that one is so this and this one is so that. No, none of that, and I think that's a good thing. Some people may talk and say in regards to some kind of animal cruelty, but I mean, come on, it's not real. It's a movie. It's not really all that thing, so I don't really consider that to be anything like that. Yet I'm sure there are going to be some who are going to try to make mischief because that's what they do. But overall, for me, no identity politics crammed into this, and I think that is a favorable point for this movie. Number 2, the cast are great and the visuals look good. We get the Guardians have returned, and I must say that they all hit their marks really well. They execute who they are. It's a natural progression of the Guardians as you know them. They started off a certain way. By the second movie, they had become something else. Then after the whole Christmas special, which I thought was actually really good, and now we arrive at this point, and it's all done really well. Nothing seems forced. Nothing seems problematic. Nothing seems like you're trying to make something that it's not. It's good. The Guardians are who they are, and they hold up well. Now, one thing about the Guardians of the Galaxy is that the visuals, whether they're doing space travel, designs of the ships and things, they always do look good. Parts of the movie are a little too dark for my liking. They could have been a little brighter and stuff. The visuals overall do look good. The CGI isn't so bad. Certain things just kind of look ridiculous, but not to the point to turn you off. It really doesn't turn you off in any way, shape, or form. And it does. It really does feel like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, the way you've come to expect it. So, and again, good execution on that part. Number 3, Rocket Raccoon and Gamora. Okay, now this is really a Rocket movie. It's really a Rocket Raccoon movie exploring his past and all that sort of stuff. Now, it doesn't surprise you because if you've seen the trailers or anything from it, you kind of already knew what was coming. So nothing is really a big shocker. That being the case, and spoiler here, Rocket does spend like 80% of the movie unconscious. Right? Does spend 80% of the movie unconscious, and we get flashbacks to his past. Now, personally, I think that those flashbacks would have worked better if he was awake and doing things, and certain things with the flashbacks kept happening at certain points in time to move the story along. Yeah, I think that would have worked a whole lot better and really kind of up the ante of what the movie should have been. Right? But he does spend like 80% of the movie unconscious, and this is something you kind of get Rocket, even though this movie is supposed to be Rocket's story, he gets sidelined. The same thing with Gamora. When you come to Gamora now, right, and you have I think it's Zoe Saldana is her name. Yeah, Zoe Saldana, right, I'm not correct, it's Zoe Saldana. Now, she's back as Gamora, and she's doing a really good job. You like the character, you like the way that she's portrayed and everything. Yes, really does come across well. You do enjoy it, you do like it, but she also kind of got sidelined heavily in this movie. Because, I mean, okay, this isn't the Gamora that they knew. This is like 2014 Gamora, because, you know, the whole Gamora that was with them, Thanos killed her, then they went back in time, and this is the Gamora before that. So she's struggling with the whole who Peter Quill expects her to be and who others expect her to be and who she is now, and that she hasn't been that person. So it's a little bit of a throw up there, but she kind of gets sidelined in the movie by Mantis. And it's, I mean, Mantis has a part to play, nothing wrong with that, but you could have utilized Gamora more. Alright? That's not to say that she doesn't have scenes in it that is actually really good and they go over really well. I'm just saying that she could have been more integral to the part of the story. They could have kind of incorporated her more into this, instead of just kind of like just giving it out, like, you know, okay, this is her here, but she's clearly not going to be around because she doesn't know or like these people. No, you could have upped that a little more, man. We go on to number 4. Some jokes miss while others hit. And though the jokes that hit belong in almost entirely to the Guardians. That's not to say that some of them don't fall flat, because, you know, Mantis had the occasional moments where her jokes weren't really sticking and stuff, and you had some others, but overall, you will laugh when you watch this movie. You will laugh. I laughed, others laughed. You will laugh when you watch this movie. But the times that you find yourself laughing are only when the Guardians are doing something. The rest of the time, others are trying to be funny, and some of them do come off to the point where you might give a little bit of a chuckle so much, but most of the time, the rest of the cast and the rest of the so-called jokes in the movie tend to fall kind of flat. It's only when the Guardians are actually doing it that it actually works. And this is something that actually shows how, something I've talked about before, how certain movies are supposed to be certain ways. James Gunn set up this thing so that the Guardians are supposed to be funny, yet have a serious theme to the movies. In current day MCU, they try to turn everything into a running joke and fail miserably. That's not what happened. That's not what it is you're really supposed to do. In this movie, it actually works because the Guardians have been set up to be funny. So you get those parts, you get the humor, you understand that you can work with it, and you get it. Now that's, like I said before, not every joke is a hit, but when it comes to the Guardians, they actually do hit. The rest of the time, some of the jokes do tend to fall a little flat. Okay? Number 6. This is Adam Warlock. This is Adam Warlock. This is Adam Warlock. These are Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock, Omega level entity, extremely powerful, intelligent, interesting backstory, integral to the whole Infinity Saga, Infinity War thing. This is Adam Warlock. This is a waste of time. You understand me? This is a complete and utter waste of time. And I don't care how much they try to predict. This is not Adam Warlock. This is not Adam Warlock at all. When I saw Will Poulter was going to be playing this role, I was hesitant. I did videos talking about how, you know, bringing in Adam Warlock now wouldn't make sense, and it didn't. He played absolutely no importance to this movie whatsoever. They just had him there because they needed to have him there. He didn't contribute anything. He didn't make a presence for anything. Yes, they kind of set up with him attacking things and all kind of stuff and the other. But you could have gone through this entire movie, done some things better, not included him, and it's still and the changes that you made would have actually come out better than actually having this waste of space in it. Honestly, this is not Adam Warlock. This so-called individual, who I'm not even going to call that, but so-called individual, contributes nothing and should not even be in this movie to begin with. Honestly, should not be in this movie to begin with at all. Number 7, the High Evolutionary. Is it that we just can't have good villains in the MCU anymore, or is it just me? Maybe it's me. Maybe I have high expectations. Maybe I think that villains should actually make sense. I don't know. Maybe. I'm just saying. Maybe. In the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, we had Ronan Ronan the Accuser, who wanted to destroy things because, you know, he was Ronan the Accuser and he figured that he could judge stuff with it. We had that. In the second movie, we had Ego, who wanted to destroy all life in the universe so he could remake it into him and it would be better. Okay. Then, you know, in the whole Avengers thing, we had Thanos, who had a crazy plan of wiping out half the life in the universe. Okay, at least he had a reason for what he was doing. Alright. When it comes to the MCU, as of late now, we had in Doctor Strange, we had Wanda, who wanted to murder, who murdered hundreds of people so she could kidnap a girl and use her powers to go to another world to kill herself and take her imaginary children as her own, until the time when the children didn't like her anymore, she'd get rid of them and then go on to another world to do it. We had that. And then we had Kang, who they set up to be a big bad and got beaten by ants, you know, after he got beaten by Loki and the first movie. And now we have the High Evolutionary, who's just a more unhinged version of Kang. And no, it's not because he's black, he's just a more unhinged version of Kang. I think Peter Quill said it best in the movie. The High Evolutionary is just basically another impotent anal nutbag with weird delusions of grandeur that don't make sense. I mean, okay, the thing about it is that he created Counter-Earth. You understand? He created Counter-Earth. And you would think, well, okay, maybe he has some connection to Earth. No, he's just an alien who visited Earth sometime in the past, like what he saw, and he said, you know what? I'm going to make a better Earth because Earthlings aren't doing it correctly, and he filled it with some anthropomorphic animals. Basically, he took animals from Earth, mutated them and sped up the evolutionary process until they became like basically humanoid animal versions. Then he created Counter-Earth, and he wants to do this with the rest of the galaxy, except for the fact that the Counter-Earth that he created is just the same as Earth, if not, you know, a little same thing. And the fact that the man keep having these massive freakouts. He acts like, you know, he's this brilliant, intelligent being. And when Rocket figures out something that he doesn't, even though he created Rocket, he's obsessed with the fact as to how Rocket could have done it when he didn't. He literally endangers himself and everybody else just to capture Rocket, because he wants to take out his brain to figure out how Rocket got smart when the others didn't. And then all to eventually lead up to the point where his closest aides turn on him because he's a lunatic. The man doesn't even have a good reason for what he's doing. I mean, it's not to say, like, you know, they could have gone with you know, maybe he's from an alternate universe, and on his Earth he tried that whole, you know, evolutionary thing and it didn't work. So he came here now, or you could have put it like, you know, he was a scientist on Earth years ago and he got abducted by aliens, and then he saw their technology and decided that, you know, he could use that to improve life and all kind of thing. So then you would actually have some kind of reason for what he's doing. Instead, he just wants to make things perfect and doesn't seem to understand that, you know, because he's a lunatic, nothing is ever going to be perfect. So you don't really get him as a villain. He's, like I said, he's just a more deranged version of Kang, and he's just pretty stupid. I mean, not to mention the fact that, you know, Rocket mauled his face when they were young after he killed Rocket's friends. Rocket mauled his face, and the thing about it is that he's wearing a mask. And I don't understand that you could create anthropomorphic animal human hybrid beings. You could create entire planets, but you can't do some freaking plastic surgery or just fix your face. Come on now, man. It's really just ridiculous. Let's go move on. The movie does drag and it's a little boring at times. Right? Now, there are certain points in this movie where you thought it could have just ended right there and it would have been okay. And it does get a little boring, especially when I talk about the whole flashbacks happening with Rocket. Okay, we understand it's flashback with Rocket and everything, but the fact that, again, I say he's unconscious for like 80% of the movie, and the way certain other things happen throughout the movie where they just kind of, go on non-stop about certain stuff with certain things. Now, some characters do have some good development. I must say that Nebula had really good development, considering from the first time that we met her. Now she actually cares about her friend. She's still kind of angry and all kind of thing about them, but she does care about them, and she has really and truly become an integral part of the Guardians. You understand me? She cares and she's doing that. But the movie does tend to drag unnecessarily in places and things that happen. And if they could have just improved certain elements better, it would have gone over much more interesting, much more put together, and you would have really say, well, okay, this is actually moving along the way that it's supposed to. Okay? Next up, it is serious, but it's still fun. This is what the Guardians have always been about. Now, this movie is a little more serious than the absolute laughing stock that we have been getting from the MCU lately. Case in point, Thor: Love and Thunder, which was just an absolute another train wreck of a movie. But this one is a bit more serious because we deal with what happens with Rocket, him losing his friends, having to think, and it is painful when you think about what happened in his life and all kind of stuff. Yes, it is serious. But like I said, the movie is still fun. You understand? We even have Nathan Fillion in it. I mean, he's kind of popping up in a lot of these Marvel and DC movies as of late and stuff, and we get some other funny parts like when Gamora says that she has a plan to, when they break into this place, and she said that she has a plan, and her plan is just to pull a weapon, point at this woman's head and threaten to kill her if nobody goes along with it. And it's really funny the way they freak out and the banter back and forth. I think it's still funny. Like I said, the movie is serious, but it's still funny. It does it well because this is what the Guardians have always been. This is what the Guardians have always been, and that's what's going on. Next up, it does not stick the landing. Okay, it doesn't stick the landing. I'm not going to tell you how it ends, like I said, because I'm not going to tell you how it ends. But the way I think it should have ended should have been that, all the Guardians back together, including the new ones. Okay, all the Guardians from the original, from the first movie back together, and also including Nebula and Mantis back together on the ship, heading out to go and do something again, it would show that, okay, these legends are still going on out there. Yes, we understand that this is the final movie for James Gunn and for most of them, because Gamora says she's done with it, Drax says he's done with it, and the other, and again, I know Dave Bautista has said that, he thinks that he doesn't want to do this anymore because it's that silly role, but he does it really well, and I'm sorry, I said it before, he's going to be remembered for this movie because he did it really well. But it doesn't really stick the landing. That's the way that I think it should have ended, instead of them just kind of, okay, we're all going to move on here and the other, but it should have ended like that. And then in a mid-credit scene now, it does something that in my opinion could only be described as kind of a Thor: Love and Thunder ending moment. Let's going to leave it at that. Kind of leaves it as a Thor: Love and Thunder ending moment. That's. And finally, I think this is as good as the MCU is going to get. I in no way think that this movie was terrible. It's certainly better than what we've gotten from Phase 4, apart from Spider-Man No Way Home. But the rest of Phase 4 was terrible, and I think that this is better than anything that we've gotten in Phase 4, and it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The problem is, though, that this movie does not contribute to anything. Yes, it does. Yes, it is a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It does what it has to do okay. But the wow factor for me wasn't really there. Like I said, it's funny, it's thing, and I do think that people who want to watch it will like it, but once you're done, you don't really feel the urge to go back and see it again. That's really it. You don't really feel the urge to go back and watch it again. So it's like, yes, it's good, but that's pretty much it. It's good and it's done. You're just kind of, okay, well, it's okay, and you just leave. That's really it. It doesn't really draw you back in to say, well, okay, I'm going to go watch this 2-3 times. No, it doesn't really do that. And I think this is as good as the MCU is going to get. And considering that next up for the MCU is the Marvels, which has pretty much already failed in my opinion, this doesn't really bode well for it going forward. Now, don't get me wrong, this movie is going to make some money, but is it going to pass $1 billion? I highly doubt that. The projections for it are already not looking so favorable, but I think it will make some money. It is an okay movie. Because I mean, it really is an okay movie, but is it fantastic enough to say that it's going to blow doors off and, thing? No, it really is. No. That's it for me on this review. My final rating for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I will give this movie a 3 out of 5. It's an okay movie. It does have some good favorable points to it and stuff going forward, and like I said, really good favorable points, but it doesn't really bring home the bacon, in my opinion. It really doesn't bring home the bacon, but it is good enough if you want to check it out. It is good enough if you want to just check it out and see. But other than that, it's a little dull at times, but it's an okay movie. Okay, that's it for me. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, so hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell. You're notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.